Well, I got the opportunity for a short period of time. My uncle passed away, who, by the way, was a priest and an alcoholic.
Mm.
And he got sober in AA.
Mm.
And then he died from a heart issue. And he left me a bunch of money at the very end of my addiction. And it was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Because what I realized, it wouldn't have mattered if I won $100 million lottery. What my addiction requires is more than my brain and my body can handle. So unlimited supply was not the answer. It just started to break me down to where I could barely function and my days were numbered.
Mm.
And I lost my mind and I lost 60, 70 pounds. I looked like a toothpick. And I was on death's doorstep and I ran out of money. And that's when I came here. I had never been to Gainesville in my entire life. And I showed up at my dad's house and they, my stepmom started crying right when she saw me, just taking one look at me. Mm-hmm. People, I don't think people really, cause look, this isn't what it means to be an alcoholic. And I will break that down because that's one of my things we're leading up to. But like what that means. You don't have to, there's people that have crazier stories than me. There's people that stories are more mild seemingly than mine. Okay. That's not what makes someone an alcoholic, is how bad and gruesome things seem to be and how crazy their stories are. That's not what makes me an addict. But I don't think that people that know me now, that know I'm in recovery, I don't think they have an accurate picture of how dark and brutal this was. Just for me personally. When I showed up at their house, dude, I looked like a bobblehead doll. My arms were covered in scabs. I had ripped all the hair out of my legs with my fingertips. I was talking to myself. I could barely walk. One sight at me had my stepmom in tears. They knew that I was in serious trouble, and they started working on getting me insurance and finding me a place to go, and they found Vista in Gainesville. I'd never been here before. Mm-hmm. I still am here now, almost 15 years later. And they drove me over there and they dropped me off at Vista. And you had said what happened this time that was different. Mm-hmm. So the reality of it was there I am again. Just again, it wasn't even like things had gotten so bad the last several kind of crash and burns that it was almost like hard for them to get worse. It was just, here I am again. I'm at another detox. I've been now to an IOP and 3 inpatients and a homeless shelter and multiple trips to jail. I've been fired from every job I've ever had, dozens of jobs. Great at getting them, couldn't keep them. I was unemployable. And here I am at another detox going to another treatment center. And I was sick of it. I was beat down. I had no more ego left. I mean, at this point, I knew I wasn't cool enough. I wasn't tough enough. I didn't have enough willpower. I wasn't tricky or witty or charming enough. I was beat. I had no more fight left in me. But here I am again, and I've become very skeptical of this whole process because the treatment centers haven't treated me, the rehabilitation centers haven't rehabilitated me that I've been to thus far. I've seen therapists, I've seen psychiatrists and psychologists. I've tried drinking fruit smoothies and exercising. I've tried moving. I've tried changing my phone number. I've tried getting on and off different medications. I've tried reading self-help and positivity books. I've tried, just going to some different kinds of meetings. I've tried foxhole prayers, which it's obviously why those don't work. I've tried just going to church a few times, which I'm putting myself around the solution, but I'm not engaging it. I'm thinking that showing up at these places is just going to fix me by osmosis. And so when I end up here again, I'm like, why would I do this again? What is the point? I'm hopeless. There is no hope for me. You're you're putting off the inevitable. You're keeping me alive a little bit longer, which is great. Good for you. But why would I do this again? That's how I felt.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do the drugs ever feel good, though? Like most of the time? Or did it ever get to a point where the effect wasn't?
Yes. I'm going to talk about God a little bit.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Of course.
Because I can't not,
Absolutely.
So in my experience, when it comes to God, and I'm not just saying this because it's something we like to say and it's a great saying, but it's true. When it comes to God, the farther you follow him, the farther down the path you go, the best is always yet to come, even unto death, if you believe that you're going to heaven because of your relationship with Jesus. If that's where you are with it, right? So if that's where you are with God, it just gets better and better and better. And even when storms come, and even when life happens, and even when tragedies happen and loss occurs and things like that, you don't build up a tolerance. You don't get sick of it. The more you do, the better it gets. The more you surrender, the more flows into your life, and you're never ashamed of those decisions, and they just get richer and richer and richer, and it grows and grows and grows. Well, with the other side, selfishness, the evil one, the world, whatever you want to call it, drugs and alcohol are certainly a part of that. They put their best foot forward. And the farther you follow them, the worse it gets. The best is presented up front. Your best high, your most fun, your craziest memories are always in the early days. And the farther you follow them, the more drugs it's required to attempt to get the same high. You do build up a tolerance. The farther you go chasing these crazy parties and this high and this side of things, the darker things get, the more alone you are, the more bridges you burn. And so did I love it? Absolutely. I said when I first did it, I want to wake up and do it every single day for the rest of my life. It was the best thing I'd ever experienced that I didn't even know existed. I wasn't an addict before that. I'd never done it. I was jumping off bridges and making jackass videos and filming BMX bike jumps and, loving life. Well, when I did that, I loved it. And I thought, all you got to do is go like this and like this and like this, and you can feel like this. This isn't dirty or weird like I used to perceive this. This is just awesome. Mm-hmm. You just do a little something and you feel like $1 million, and why wouldn't we just keep this going? Well, you keep it going, and by the end of this thing, I was doing as much as I possibly could to just not be sick. I couldn't even hardly get high. I had to do 5-6 times the amount that I used to do, and I would catch a little buzz for a few minutes at the beginning, and it was gone. I needed over $1,000 a day if I wanted to do it how I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, the thing that's doing it for me is also killing me. Eating up years of my life, ruining all my relationships, deteriorating my mind and my body, making me face massive amounts of consequences. And it wasn't working anymore. But I didn't know what could. I didn't know what could. And when you take, so here's a big common myth that a lot of people have. If you're an addict or an alcoholic, you got a little drinking problem. You got a drug problem. No, I did not. Because if I had a drug problem and you sent me to detox and got the drugs out of my system, no more drugs, no more problem. Not if I have a drug problem. Mm-hmm. Every time I ever relapsed, I did it when I was sober. That seems like an obvious statement, like there's nothing substantial there, but it's huge. Every time I ever relapsed, I did it when I was sober. If I wasn't sober, it was just called a bender. But when I was sober, so I didn't have an alcohol or drug problem. I had an alcohol and drug solution to a spiritual existence problem that I had developed over time because of what drugs did for me physically, and because I had developed a mental insanity and obsession with them, and because now without them, I'm not okay. That happened to me over a period of time. I'm not okay. There was this one time it was one of those times my dad picked me up from rehab. He brought me back to the house, and he was so proud of me. And I had the little butterfly coin in my pocket. And he said, he was playing Bob Marley on the radio. He knew I liked Bob Marley. He was cooking these delicious steaks on the grill outside. It was gorgeous, like it's been outside here recently. I'm throwing the tennis ball to the puppies in the yard. Beautiful day. No one's coming to kill me. I'm not under arrest. The air conditioner's working. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any real problems other than the disaster I've caused in my life the last few years, but everything's okay. And I sat there for a couple hours, and then it hit me. I got to get out of here and go get high.